Rod Stewart is the original naughty boy rocker. What I want to know is how the hell he pulls all these beautiful blondes half his age.
My life is an open book. I'm interested to see what he's going to ask me.
He has been there, done it, drunk it, slept with it.
You know, I've known Piers for a little while, and if he gets out of hand, I'll smack him around the head.
Roderick David Stewart, to give you your full title. It was John Baldry who was the guy who discovered you on a railway station when you were playing the harmonica, and he came up with perhaps the best Rod Stewart quote of them all, which was that you were just a randy old sod who gets away with it every time.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on.
I did want to just start with women, and I did want to know...
We could end with women as well.
Because you have had the most extraordinary success with women over the years. What do you put it down to? Everyone else has had their say. What's the Rod Stewart formula?
Man, I've got the odd chat-up line, which always seems to work, but...
Go on, what is it?
Hello, darling, what you got in that basket? I think it's, you know, I know that I'm not a particularly, standard-wise, a good-looking guy. I've got a big hooter and a funny haircut, but I think I've got, you know, some sort of charm, obviously.
Do you have a favourite type of woman?
I'm married to her.
Of course. Of course.
People ask me a lot, you know, because of blondes, you know, why blondes? And the only thing I can put it down to is when, you know, I was a kid, there was Marilyn Monroe and Jane Mansfield, and after that it was Bridget Bardot. You know, they were the three big blondes, you know. So I was obsessed with blondes. Not obsessed with blondes, but that's the way the cards came down over the years.
There are loads of brunettes and redheads watching this thinking, what's wrong with us, Rod?
No, I've been out with brunettes and redheads.
We don't marry them?
No, but I've only been married...
Can you actually remember?
3 times. 3 times.
And they've all been blonde?
Yes, indeed, yeah.
So there is a track record here.
And why not?
Which is discriminatory against redheads and brunettes.
It certainly is not. It's the way it came down, honestly. I could name at least a dozen, you know, brunettes and redheads I've been out with.
Oh, God.
Not now.
We've got all
Not
night.
now.
Can you remember every woman that you've had a liaison with?
No, absolutely. I'm not proud of that either.
Percentage-wise?
I can remember the good shags. No, I'm sorry. You know what you do remember is the...
You remember the bad ones?
No, you remember the ones that taught you how to nasty.
How to what?
How to nasty.
What's nasty?
They teach you little things, little tricks, and it's
Really?
usually... Yeah, in the old days, it used to be a woman that was a few years older than me, as Maggie May was 33, I think.
She was a Margaret, right?
She was a Margaret, and I was 16 or 17.
You've certainly chased a few. I mean, I was surprised when I looked at your back catalogue. Some interesting names popped up, Rob. Well, Joanna Lumley, I didn't realise it.
Joanne.
Yeah.
She was a wonderful woman.
Oh, but I wouldn't have put you two together.
Well, she was so, you know, upper crust, and I was actually scared to talk. Joanne talked awfully wonderfully.
There you are. I mean, look.
Yeah, it's all coming out tonight. And I was actually scared to speak with Joanne because I was, you know, a North Londoner, but she was wonderful, bless her.
But you ended this relationship.
As I did tend to do in those days. It's horrible, but the only way I can defend myself is I was going through the cards, you know, just trying to find the right woman.
Rod, you're 65 now, and a lot of things have happened to you in that time. Some good, some bad. But the one thing that's remained completely constant is your hair. Rod, the one-time mod with his distinctive croaky voice, was destined for stardom.
Rod's always been a snappy dresser. He's always had a great haircut. He's just, you know, he cares about himself, and he looks good in suits.
You've got to have a certain amount of talent, but you've also got to have the front to carry it off, you know. And he sure has got that.
He just has not only the amazing voice, but he has an aura about him that when he walks into a room, people stop and look. And there aren't that many people that have that.
Crazy, brilliant, a genius, a black man in a white shell.
His voice is so, like, it's almost pitch perfect with a raspy voice. And it's sort of a voice that I've dreamt to have. You know, I don't know how many cigarettes he smoked, but he's got the voice for it, definitely.
Dad said to him, you know, when he started singing, why don't you get a proper job? Little did he know.
Famed for dating and marrying leggy blondes, Rod Stewart is the ultimate rock star.
Fast cars, beautiful women, wild behaviour. What a terrible image, poor sod.
He definitely likes women a lot taller than him. So they definitely know the weather before he does.
With his wild days behind him, Rod's now settled with his third wife, Penny. At first, they had a charmed life with son Alistair born 4 years ago. But more recently, things haven't been quite so easy. Having a second baby has proved much harder for them.
Normally, like with Alistair, it didn't take too long to make him. But this is a long journey and you have to be very committed and very understanding with one another. And then when you're told that, unfortunately, although embryos were inside of you, none of them actually attached. And I'm sorry, but the pregnancy that you dreamed of is over. That's really, really hard to deal with.
Twice the IVF treatment failed, but the couple wouldn't give up. And their determination has paid off, as it proved to be third time lucky for them.
Lovely, lovely. Thrilled to bits for him. And Penny, you know.
When I got that phone call, it was just the most unbelievable moment. I remember the nurse saying to me, you know, can you tell me your name, your date of birth? And I'm thinking, oh my God, please don't keep me in this suspense. And then finally she said, you're pregnant. I was like, ah! You know, it was...
When you found out that you were going to have another baby, which will be, how many now?
8.
Eight children. Does it get, I mean, the way you were reacting when you saw Penny there sort of getting emotional, you were emotional yourself. It obviously means a huge amount to you.
Oh, it does. I mean, oh, Jesus Christ, it does, yeah. We waited for over 2 years and, you know, everybody was waiting. My family, Penny's family, all the children, they all knew we were doing IVF treatment. So when we actually got there, you know, but I must admit the build-up was very funny with the sperm bank and all that, rushing down the doctors. Having,
I just can't imagine you in a sperm bank. Right?
Well, we had to have sex at all funny times, you know.
Do you? That's true, is it? You have to, like...
Yeah, and you have to you put it in a bottle and get in a Ferrari. down the doctors and... Am I saying too much, though?
It was clearly, though, joking aside, a very emotional time for the pair of you. What was it like for you to see Penny so upset, really, that she was unable to produce that second child for you?
It was upsetting for both of us, but I kept saying, Pen, we'll keep on trying and we'll keep on trying until we get it right. It was just, I can't describe it. It was just wonderful, you know. It's words fail me.
Do you know what the sex of a child's going to be?
Well, we do now, yeah. We with Alistair, we decided to wait until he was born. But this one is going to be a boy, Bonnie boy.
A boy. When he's 18, I've worked out you're going to be 84.
Yeah, that's probably it's probably the only downside, you know. And I did think about it. I mean, I didn't go into this blindly, and I suppose you could say, well, perhaps it's being a little bit selfish, but...
Pablo Picasso was still banging them out when he was in his 80s.
He did, didn't he?
I mean, do you think you'll stop procreating, or is
No, that's
like
it. The office is definitely closed now.
Is it?
I put padlocks on the front door. It said...
You think you're a good dad?
I think I've learnt to become a good dad over the years. You know, it's the sort of thing you don't get, taught at school. You pick it up as you go along. And, you know, with Sean and Kimberly, you know, I was away a lot. You know, they're 30 and 31 now. I was away a lot. carving a career for myself. So, you know, I was on the road, so they didn't see me a great deal. And we had, you know, about 10 years ago, we had some fights over this. And I said, well, maybe you should have spoken to your mum. She should have married a chartered accountant and not a musician. She knew what I was. But thank goodness we've straightened it all out now, and everything's cool.
Well, what have you learned about being a good father?
Never tell him you're going to do something and disappoint him. And that holds with whether it be Alistair or the older kids. Never let them down when you made a promise.
Have you done that in the past?
Yeah, a couple of times. Not too many times, and usually it's been work. But we're all good now. Everything's good, because there's nothing I can't stand is arguing with my kids. If one of them is arguing with me, it's like a black cloud over my head. You know, it really is the worst. I like them I love them, and I like to be loved by all of them.
I can't even imagine how bad it must be for a young suitor to one of your daughters to turn up at the door and see you waiting in your tartan war gear, ready to kill them.
No, I'm pretty easy with the boyfriends that come
Are
around.
you?
Yeah, I'm pretty easy. I'll give them the once over, but you know, I can be pretty intimidating if I want to be. I tend not to be.
Well, I was at the GQ Awards when you ripped old Russell Brand a new one for his boasting about his alleged dalliance with Kimberly. You were very upset by that.
My daughter, I believe, always tells me the truth. She said she didn't, and I'll go with that.
What did you actually say to him?
No, not at all.
Mano to mano.
He apologised, and he said, you know, I just get carried away sometimes.
You didn't threaten him with a Glaswegian kiss?
No. He was fine. He was fine about it.
Your first child was a little girl called Sarah that you
Yeah.
had with a woman called Susanna, and you gave her up for adoption.
Well, we, you know, our arse was hanging out our trousers. We had no money. You know, Sue, her mum, we talked about it, and we just were so absolutely stone broke, you know. There's no way we could have given her a halfway decent start in life. And we both, you know, decided to let her be adopted.
Do you regret that now?
Yeah, I certainly do, and I missed it, but we're seeing each other now, and we're trying to make amends for what's gone on.
Well, the big thing was whenever you were asked how many kids you had,
I said 7.
you wouldn't include
Yeah.
her. And it was
Yeah.
interesting tonight, the moment I asked you,
Yeah,
when you said 8, I actually thought of her watching
yeah.
at home, feeling really pleased and proud
Yeah.
that you'd acknowledged her like that.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But you've got to remember, she had parents. For, you know, 70% of her life, her parents, she's only just lost her parents, you know, not her biological parents, her adopted parents. So there was no point in me shouting it from the rooftops, I'm her father. We all kept it quiet, you know.
How do you get on now?
It's somewhat rocky, you know. I think I've got to sit down, and I think you've got to, like, just open up. You know, if we're going to get on and you're going to get on with my kids, you've got to open up, be more friendly, be more cordial. So we're really working on it. And in fact, I gave him my email address the other day, so that's a big, big plus.
Well, maybe you could use email.
I do. I love emailing my kids. You know, I'm getting pretty good at it now, 2 hands, but it does bond the family together. And you can say things otherwise you may have said on the phone in haste and regretted. You know, I can do my emails and think, does that look right? Are they going to read that the wrong way and adjust?
At the peak of your power as a pair of you, how bad did it get?
We took advantage, and what red-blooded male wouldn't have?
It was your dad, Robert, that bought you your first guitar on your 14th birthday. I heard that you would have preferred him to have bought you a model railway.
Yeah.
You didn't want the guitar?
No, I didn't. And to this day, I don't know why he bought it for me. I think he must have thought there's money in this. A shrewd Scotsman.
Do you remember your first performance?
Singing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, either, actually.
It was with Long John Baldry, and we played the Twisted Wheel in Manchester. And it was an all-nighter, and I remember the bass player, he said, it's an all-nighter tonight, we don't go until 2, don't finish till 4. He said, you want to take this? And I said, what's that? It was a black bomber, you know, it was a pill that they used in those days to keep you up.
Like speed, isn't it?
Yeah, it was speed, you know, so I only had one song. It was The Night Time is the Right Time by Ray Charles. And I went on there and just kept singing, you know. You'd see one song for like 15 minutes all day. And then I remember not sleeping for 3 days. And going, what the hell was that all about?
And do you still drop a little black bomber every now and again?
No,
to get you
no,
through
those
long,
days are gone.
long stage performances?
No way, no way.
In 1967, you were asked to join the Jeff Beck group,
Yeah.
which is when you got to know Ronnie. And you went and played with Jeff Beck. Can you remember it?
This is New York, and there's probably, because I was always trying to sound like a black guy, you know, like Otis Redding or Sam Cooke. And I thought, I can't go to New York. There'd be black people in the audience watching me. And I think I'm a phony. So I hid behind the amps, singing, you know, and then, ain't superstitious, black cat crossed my trail. And the audience went berserk. I went, hello, they like it. So then I ran in front of the amps, and Jeff said, come on, get down in front of the stage. You're the singer. You know? And then I just went...
Now, you and Jeff, as you went, he wasn't really enjoying this because he was used to being the star of the show, wasn't he?
No, I think Jeff was OK with it. I do think he was a little envious of Woody's and I's relationship because we were really, like, joined at the hip in those days, you know.
He'd stay in the Hilton in a really nice suite, and you and Ronnie had to rough it in a twin double.
Oh, yeah, well, that's OK. He was the band leader, you know. But what we didn't used to get is paid regular, and we used to have to go out and thieve. You know,
really?
We used to, like, nick eggs from... because we had no money. You know, it
wasn't steal eggs?
Yeah, eggs, and then go back and make an omelette.
Stealing eggs to eat?
Stealing eggs to eat, absolutely. If Ronnie was here, he'd tell you the same. It wasn't Jeff's fault. They were just late in getting their wages.
So you and Ronnie were as thick as thieves, but it's only when you reunited for the Faces that you first tasted proper success. The Small Faces were one of the most influential rock bands of the 1960s. When the original lead singer, Steve Marriott, quit, Rod was asked to join the band. The Small Faces simply became the Faces, and Rod's love of drinking made him fit right in.
We were just a fun band. We enjoyed playing. We hardly rehearsed. Every time we rehearsed, it was an excuse to go up the pub again.
I didn't mind him playing in the Faces because I knew he got a job, although I didn't like what was going on with the Faces, you know, the drinking and all that.
The whole band was really exciting. People loved it. They loved that boozy aspect of it all, partying. They could relate to them.
They evidently all liked each other a lot. They were very musical on a good night and a total shambles on a bad one.
Rod was always, because he was the front man and singing and that, so all the ladies would go for him first, us second.
As well as fronting the Faces, Rod was also juggling a solo career. At first, his bandmates were delighted for him and enjoyed sharing in his success.
Mercury Records released his solo material, Maggie May, and Every Picture Tells a Story. That was the huge success. 6 weeks, #1 both sides of the Atlantic. And, of course, he became very busy promoting that. So he would be promoting that with the Faces.
We played Maggie May live quite a lot, and it was a big song, and we felt privileged and proud that we were playing that song. That was a kind of instant success for Rod.
He seemed to be doing everything. I think I saw him more on Top of the Pops than I did those days in person.
As Rod's solo success rocketed, attention was increasingly shifting away from the Faces, and resentment had started to creep into the band.
We'd turn up at a gig and it would be Rod Stewart and the Faces. And we'd go, look at that, and Rod would go, well, I didn't know anything about it, it's nothing to do with me, I didn't know.
There was an original existing band, and so I think they felt a bit put out when everybody was clamouring for Rod.
I think there were suspicions within the band that Rod was keeping his best original material for Rod's solo records rather than the Faces.
In 1975, Rod upped sticks and moved to America, becoming increasingly estranged from the rest of the group. The end of Rod's involvement with the Faces came in the bluntest of ways.
somebody came up to me and said, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that Rod's left the band." I said, "Oh, has he? What happened then?" And then I went out and got this newspaper or something, and it was in there. So I read about it. So that was unfortunate.
What do you say to that?
I think he was probably right. It wasn't handled very well. But, you know, Woody, I think, not putting the blame on him, he was ready to leave anyway and join the Stones. He was always going to be a Rolling Stone. And I think between the two of us, well, all of us, we took the band as far as we could, you know.
But did you feel like this unstoppable thing? I'm going to be a solo performer now.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I wanted to... although it was the Faces were a tremendous band, we were always pissed as farts. I mean, we really were. I mean, and that came about because we didn't think we were very good, you know. So we all got drunk, and then the audience got drunk, and it all exploded.
You've been on the road for close to 50 years now, and it's been a pretty raucous ride most of the time. Probably because a lot of it's been spent with Ronnie Wood. At the sort of peak of your powers, a pair of you, how bad did it get?
With the wife here? Woody and I could stand on the edge of the stage, and we used to make a habit of this, and just get our Holiday Inn key out and go like this. And that would be it. And there would be a flock of women back at the hotel. But we took advantage, and what red-blooded male wouldn't do?
At your peak, the pair of you, I was told one of your favourite things was to empty hotel rooms. I mean, literally, just chuck everything out.
The Faces and The Who were the first two bands to ever do it. You know, a lot of bands have done it since.
You're quite proud of that, aren't you, Ron?
Yeah.
The first hotel record.
Yeah. And do you know why we used to do it? Is because in those days, we weren't accepted, we were treated like rubbish, you know, and we thought, let's get our own back on them. And in the end, we used to check into hotels in America as Fleetwood Mac.
How close are you to Ronnie now?
Very close. I mean, we've got the same haircuts, same nose, and probably the same sexual habits still as we always had. And we've been emailing each other all week trying to get together. You know, I love him dearly, and I'll support him for the rest of his life.
Are you worried about him?
Not at all.
Other people seem to be.
No, he's fine. He always lands on his feet, you know, so good luck to him. I love him. The breakdown of my marriage was a rejection in a way. I mean, it really broke my heart, and it was painful. I didn't have the tools to have my heart broken.
You were pretty controversial when you went solo. I mean, Tonight's the Night was banned from Top of the Pops because it was about you losing your virginity.
Yeah.
Hot Legs was about having sex with a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean,
what's wrong with that? I couldn't write a song like that nowadays to save my life. And that's the way I felt in those days, and, you know, it just poured out of the pen, you know.
Do you ever sing Do You Think I'm Sexy on your own?
I tell you, mate, I'm the last person. I do not, and I swear, I see myself in the morning, so does Penny. It's a right shambles. It really is.
In 1975, you moved to America, your career was on fire, and Do You Think I'm Sexy became this anthem for the new Rod Stewart.
The success was nothing we anticipated. We just thought it was quite a nice track, and suddenly we were on tour for, you know, a year, more than a year, on the strength of that record.
He'd kind of prance around the stage, and he'd turn around, and then he'd like shake his bum and all that thing, and the girls would go crazy.
He'd always had luck with the girls, but Do You Think I'm Sexy turned Rod into an international sex symbol overnight.
Let's put it this way. If you wanted to have sex every night while you were touring, it was easily available. It was just down to whether or not you wanted to.
It was just pretty wild. He was a sex symbol.
Turned out to be the biggest selling single Rod's ever had. The success came at a price. He may have had a girl on every arm, but for many of his fans, Rod had sold out.
Do you think I'm sexy? I quite like, but I hate the videos. The kind of nonsense image and the naff clothes.
My dad, how much hairspray did you use? Now I realize why hairspray is still in business. It's probably damn Rod Stewart who did that.
That look was very special. It basically it made him a bit of a laughing stock.
Rod had an image problem and the critics turned on him. He didn't have another #1 album for 25 years.
He kind of was huge and was great and everybody loved it. And then he kind of went, and sort of went to America and behaved like a prat.
The charge is you went to America and behaved like a brat, Rod.
Well, you can't please them all, can you?
What's your recollection of that? Because it was obviously a hugely pivotal moment in your career. You had this monster hit, but it was done in a way that was going to always inflame the purists, I guess.
Well, I didn't know that. You know, I suppose you could say I jumped on the bandwagon, the disco bandwagon, and lighten up. You know, it's just a song. It's gone now, you know.
Did the backlash surprise you?
Yeah, it did. It did. But then again, on reflection, it was well-deserved, because there I was, someone that was steeped in the blues and R&B, and to come out with that song, you know, it just rubbed all the critics up the wrong way. And there was a point where I stopped singing it because I hated it so much.
Really?
Love it now.
Really?
Love it. Yeah.
How long did you not sing it for?
Oh, for 2 or 3 years.
Because you were slightly ashamed that it had damaged your credibility with the people that you care about.
Spot on, yeah.
You said at the time, after Do You Think I'm Sexy, for a couple of years, I almost lost interest in music altogether. I was just going out, shagging and drinking. I believed everything I read about myself. And it all kind of went to your head, and you went a bit crazy.
Yeah, it did go pear-shaped, and I was believing everything. I just thought I was God's gift to women. Everything I read about me, I believed, you know, it's just stupid period. I straightened out pretty quick.
Was it fun?
You betcha. It was fun, yeah.
I suppose the obvious question, Rod, is do you think you're sexy?
Thank you very much.
Well, you haven't actually answered the question yet.
Oh, shut up. That's the end of the interview now.
You've been married 3 times. Tell me about your first wife, Alana.
I shouldn't have got married. I was 35, and I remember calling me dad from Tokyo and saying, I'm getting married, and he said, you're too young. Unfortunately, I was still sowing the wild oats, you know, and I wasn't ready for marriage.
You weren't faithful?
No, I wasn't. No.
But with Rachel, you were. So you'd learned your lesson.
Yeah.
You cleaned up your act.
Yeah.
You were a better husband. Tell me about that marriage in terms of your memories of it.
It was, as far as I was concerned, I think as well with Rachel, it was a big success. We had 2 children. I can't think of anything that was wrong with it, you know.
It still didn't work. You must have been pretty gutted by that.
I suppose the breakdown of my marriage was a rejection in a way. I mean, it really broke my heart, you know. She changed. She started growing up, and she was 20 when I met her, and who knows what goes on in a woman's head. But, you know, that's life. Happens every day of the week. Couples break up and life goes on.
Well, what advice do you give people who go through heartache?
Oh, I always say King Solomon's once said, all things must pass. So eventually the heartache will go away, you know. That's what I always say to people who are in trouble.
How long did it last for you?
Oh, good 5 or 6 months. After we split up, I was still not yearning to go back with her, but just devastated that my ego had taken a bash, you know. And that was a wonderful learning lesson. It was painful, but it was a learning lesson that I wasn't prepared for. I didn't have the tools to have my heart broken.
When it happened to you, you say you learned lessons. What did you learn from that?
Well, just that I wasn't prepared. You know, it never happened to me before. I'd never been rejected, as far as I know, and certainly it came as a total surprise. You know, I'd been an absolutely loyal husband for 8 or 9 years, and I think I was being a really good father, and all of a sudden it just crumbled. But, you know, looking back, it really wasn't her fault. You know, I know that I married her too early. In fact, my sister said at the wedding, she said, you know, Roddy, this is not going to last. I mean, my sister Mary, yeah. And sure enough, it didn't, but there's no blame attached.
Rod's second marriage to Rachel Hunter was on the rocks, and she wanted out.
I would say that was the first time Rod had had his heart broken.
And you could tell there was a difference in him. And to be fair, everybody felt for him, to be honest with you.
But Rod wasn't destined to be alone for long. A chance meeting with a 27-year-old photography student in a nightclub in 1998 quickly put the old spring back in his step.
Straight away, he said, well, how do you fancy the opportunity to come into one of my shows? I give you a press pass and you can take photos all night. I was like, oh, what an opportunity. Fantastic, well, thank you very much. And then he said, before you go, are you a good dancer? And I said, well, I enjoy dancing. So he said, well, come on, and I'll come and watch you. So I thought, oh, God, this is so embarrassing. And he sat at the bar and watched us dance for a while and then called me over to the bar to join him for a drink. And I just thought, well, this is more than I expected.
But just as Rob was looking forward to a brand new start with his new girlfriend, he received some devastating news.
To be told he had cancer. I mean, who wants to be sitting there and hear that from a doctor? And he didn't want to tell anyone. He wanted to kind of save other people from feeling the pain and hurt that he was feeling.
I was really grumpy about it when I found out, because I said to him, how can I support you if I'm kept in the dark? But he's very private with that stuff, very private.
Keen to protect those closest to him, Rod only told one person, his long-term PA Annie Chalice, that he was ill. Penny was also kept in the dark. And it was Annie who was there for Rod on the day of his surgery.
They said it would be about an hour and a half, and I sat there and I sat there and I sat there, and it was about 5 hours later. And it took a while because they had to slit his throat. And it was so close to the voice box, they had to do it so carefully and slowly because they didn't want to do anything, obviously, to that. And I kept thinking the worst scenarios, of course, being the fact that it was taking so long.
The surgery was a success, and Rod was told he wouldn't need further treatment. But this was by no means the end of his battle. Such a serious operation on the throat meant there was a chance his distinctive singing voice wouldn't survive.
Well, it was very hard for him. He was having vocal lessons, he was exercising, he was doing everything he could. He was just so frustrated that he just didn't know whether it would come back.
When you heard the dreaded C word,
Jesus, mate, yeah.
what went through your mind?
Well, like everybody, you know, why not me? I'm fit, I play football, I'm Jack the Lad, but, you know, cancer knows no bounds, cuts everybody down to size.
You didn't tell anybody?
No. I didn't want to worry everybody, especially me kids, you know.
When you heard the incision would be near your voice box,
Yeah.
I mean, that is
They
a big
didn't
moment.
tell me. They didn't tell me that.
How would you have reacted if they had?
Oh, they said, hold on a minute. They told me after the operation that it's so near to the nerves that control the voice box, one little slip to the right or the left, that would have been... I mean, if it had been an earthquake in California, it could have been all over. But, you know, it did take me a long time to get my voice back, and I was thinking about becoming a landscape gardener.
You were?
I was.
Were you really having these kind of thoughts?
It was over, because they cut through the muscles, so the muscle memory goes. It's like when you have an operation on your leg and your leg shrinks up a bit. You've got to learn how to run again. Same with the throat, and it wouldn't come back month after month.
What are you thinking when that's going on, when you can't sing?
I'm fucked. That's right. I really did. You know, I'd had it. But it was frightening, you know, but thank God. It came back. I decided to just get the band in the garage, set up the amps and just scream at the top of my voice until it came back. And it did.
I want to move on to Penny. You were clearly pretty struck quite quickly with... And why not? She's a very beautiful lady.
Yeah, you know, we'd only just finished, broken up with Rachel, and I bumped into Penny, but I didn't want to make any approaches to her. I wanted to try and keep my side of the street clean. You know, I didn't want the press saying, oh, look at Rod's chasing birds already. So we kept a distance, and I gave the phone number to my bass player, who didn't let me have it for 6 months, because he actually said, you're not worthy of this girl right now.
Really?
Yeah. Well, look at her. She's just fabulous looking and brilliant, you know. She's a big old heart, kind heart. You know, when all the family, you know, my family or her family are having arguments, she's the one. And with my kids, she's the one who goes, guys, sit down. You know, she's a very old head upon those wonderfully beautiful young shoulders.
Do you think she's the love of your life, huh?
Yeah, without a doubt. And I may get my leg over tonight. With this nose and this haircut and this voice, I was put on this earth to sing. I got you under my skin.
Do you compare yourself to other artists? Do you have natural rivals in your head?
No, not at all. No.
You don't look at Mick Jagger and think, what's he up to? I should be...
No, not at
No?
all. I have a great admiration for Mick. I have great admiration for Elton, and all of us who get no old farts.
Do you not have a kind of friendly rivalry?
With
any of them? You don't
with
look
Elton?
at their... Yeah,
oh,
no.
Elton and I go back long ways, yeah.
Well, you've been pretty competitive in a jokey way.
Yeah, we were Phyllis and Sharon, you know, that's our
Of
nicknames,
course.
yeah.
What kind of things have you done to each other?
Oh, dear. I'll tell you one embarrassing incident. We had Christmas together, and I bought Elton a little portable fridge thing. You press a button, and it comes out like that, and it's all ice things, there's bottles of vodka and everything like that. And I thought it was a pretty good present. Cost me 230 quid from Harrods. He gave me a Rembrandt. Wish I was dead. And I've still got it. It takes pride of place in one of my houses.
Has he still got the frame?
Very much down. It probably broke down after a couple of weeks, but I thought it was a big expenditure.
Do you know how much you're worth?
Do I know?
Yeah.
Of course I do. How dare you?
If it all ended tomorrow, what would you be worth?
You don't really think I'm going to sit here and tell you that, do you?
I've no idea, but I want to have a go.
No, not a million years.
But you read all these rich lists, you know. I mean, I've seen your fortune estimate anything
100
between...
million.
100 million?
They say it's 100 million.
Yeah.
but,
Is that about right?
Yeah, I'd probably be in that region, yeah.
What is it that drives people like you to keep going, do you think?
It's what I'm born to do. I mean, I really believe with this nose and this haircut and this voice, I was put on this earth to sing, and I treat success and failure fairly equally, you know.
Since the late 70s, you've had lots of success, but you've kind of always quietly craved proper critical acclaim. The idea for the American Songbook albums had been in the back of Rod's mind for a long time.
I remember in 1982 sitting at dinner with Rod and his wife of the time, Alana Stewart, and he said to me, I'd like to do an album of those songs, you know, like those songs my parents used to sing. And he named songs like They Can't Take That Away From Me and The Way You Look Tonight. He said, what do you think of that? I said, I think it'll be the end of your career. I don't think the time is right, but maybe the time will come.
20 years later, Rod finally got to make an album of cover versions, but the drastic change in musical direction was a big risk.
Critics, historically, they don't like cover artists, so that this was definitely controversial.
Would his fans that have followed him all these years, would they feel that he was a traitor? He'd kind of given up the rock and roll.
Instead, it was, you know, loved, and in the last 9 years since those albums started, we've sold over 21 million records, which is a staggering amount for an artist of his age.
The American Songbook collection was a huge commercial success. But for Rod, the crowning glory was that at long last he was to get the recognition from his peers that had eluded him for so long.
Well, the American Songbook was such a turnaround for him. Not only did it diversify his range of music that he could sing and perform when he was on tour, it gave him his first Grammy.
He was on tour in Australia, and I remember calling, and I said, well, I have amazing news. And I was very emotional about it. I put a lot of my life into this. You won the Grammy. He said, oh, that's great, mate. Penny and I are having just a little private time. Talk to you in a bit. What? That, you don't want to talk about this? I mean, it's back to romance in Australia. I said, mate, that comes first, but I'm really happy. Goodbye.
And I think to myself, it's a wonderful
Although you were clearly breaking the heart of Arnie, your manager there, underneath it, you must have been thrilled to win the Grammy, weren't you?
Yeah, I was, yeah. But I was also enjoying not having a Grammy, if you know what I mean. You know, it was something, a special little club where you haven't won a Grammy. But I'm pleased I've got one.
Does it matter to you to get that kind of recognition?
It's not the be-all and end-all. I wouldn't mind saying no to another one.
I mean, do you mind if I say you seem to have calmed down? Do you object to that? Is it,
No,
as a great rocker, do you feel like an insult if I say you've calmed down?
No, you've got to. I'm 65. I can't.
You don't look it. You look
Thank
younger than me.
Oh, thank you. No, that's not true. But yeah, it is true. Actually,
It is true.
You know, I have slowed down. One does. You've got to. I try and act like a 65-year-old most of the time.
You still wear women's underwear?
Not anymore. No.
But you did.
I did, and that was a simple reason is I'd forgot my underpants.
Well, actually, Dee Harrington said it. You wore them, women's knickers, quite a lot because you like the softness on your skin.
It's probably because the trousers were so tight and I didn't want to have a knicker line.
Rod, having tried to get under your skin all night, I think it's time that you had your turn. Singing I've Got You Under My Skin. Ladies and gentlemen, Rod Stewart.
I got you under my skin. I got you deep in the heart of me. So deep in my heart that you're really a part of me. I got you under my skin. I tried so not to give in. I said to myself, this affair never will go so well. But why should I try to resist when maybe I know so well that I got you under my skin? I'd sacrifice anything, come what may, for the sake of having you near. In spite of that warning voice, it comes in the night, repeats in my ear. Don't you know, little fool, you never can win. Use your mentality. Wake up to reality. But each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop. Before I begin, I got you under my skin. Help me now, help me now. beats in my ear. Don't you know, little fool, you never can win. Use your mentality. Wake up to reality. But each time I do, just the thought of you makes me stop before I begin. 'Cause I got you under my skin. Yeah, I got you under my skin. Yes, I got you, pretty baby. I got you under my skin. Oh yeah, yeah, I got you under my skin. One more time. Ooh, I got you under my skin.
What a legend. Now, next week in her first major interview, Susan Boyle talks to Piers about her amazing journey from unknown to superstar. Now, tomorrow night, another rock legend, Sir Paul McCartney, tells Dermot O'Leary about the fascinating story behind the Wings album Band on the Run. That's at 10:15.